Don't charge at me.
Would mean that guys like Lawrence Okolie, and especially if it's your right eye, if Jake's getting hit in his right eye, that usually would mean that he's getting jabbed, because that jab in orthodox would come out from the left hand on the right eye side.
And that experience would have been somewhat of a dawn of realization upon Jake Paul that this is actually happening now. So to an extent, I'll be honest, I actually feel sorry for Jake Paul. I mean, I don't.
Reports are coming out that Jake Paul was knocked down during heavyweight sparring. While preparing for his fight against Anthony Joshua, Jake recently showed a bruised and swollen eye, explaining that it happened during hard sparring with Lawrence Okolie. The image quickly caught attention and raised serious questions about how tough this camp has been.
Keep it going. Way for long. Here you go. Good round, Jake. Like that.
According to Joey Knight, Jake Paul has been sparring with top heavyweights like Lawrence Okolie, Frank Sanchez, and Jared Anderson. These sessions have been extremely intense. Knight described it as the toughest week of Jake's career so far. The visible bruises and marks on Jake's face showed just how much damage even controlled sparring with elite heavyweights can cause. Preparing for someone like Anthony Joshua is taking a heavy physical toll.
Ranked Lawrence Okolie. That is who Jake Paul has been sparring with over these past few weeks.
Trouble finding Hussein Mohammedanian.
And a lot of you guys will know this because Jake Paul showed the bruises and marks on his face and said that it was Lawrence Okolie that had done that. And faces don't necessarily tell you how a spar went. Some guy can have blood all over him, he can have a busted up nose, but he still won the rounds in sparring. But I can only imagine that this week has been a very, very humbling experience for Jake Paul. In fact, the past few weeks will have been eye-opening for Jake Paul. A past few weeks where he has sparred the likes of Lawrence Okolie, of Jared Anderson, and of Frank Sanchez as well. And being that I have seen Jake Paul go life and death with Tommy Fury, you can guarantee you that Okolie, that Anderson, and that Frank Sanchez have basically manhandled Jake Paul in there. And that experience would have been somewhat of a dawn of realization upon Jake Paul that this is actually happening now. So to an extent, I'll be honest, I actually feel sorry for Jake Paul. I mean, I don't, because then I remember the 70-odd million that he's reported to be earning at the end of this fight. But you can't deny, right, that in a world where these almost fantasy fights and whatnot are making such a shitload of cash, that Jake Paul's probably being paid in line for this fight, actually. And the reason I say he's being paid in line is because I really don't think it takes a genius to work out where I'm going with my prediction for this fight. And that is obviously, no, in fact, drum roll, please. AJ via knockout, obviously, technical knockout.
Jake Paul's decision to spar with elite heavyweights has drawn heavy criticism from boxing analysts and fans. Training footage shows Jake dealing with power and pressure he has never faced before. Boxing analyst Wade pointed out that these sessions revealed major weaknesses. Reports of Jake being knocked down in sparring suggest that handling true heavyweight power is still a serious challenge. This has led many to question whether Jake's confidence matches his readiness to face a former heavyweight champion like Joshua.
Question is, which one of those two things is happening? And question is, how is it going down? Because what we know about Anthony Joshua is that he has a nasty lead hook, and he's going to have a reach advantage on Jake, just like Lawrence Okolie does in the gym, which is why Jake has brought him in. So that jab's going to be effective. That lead hand of AJ is going to be effective. How does Jake maneuver around that? And again, you can look at this a couple of ways. One, okay, you get hit with it in camp, so you don't get hit with it in the fight, which is why you bring these heavyweights in. It's why you bring Jared Anderson, Lawrence Okolie, Frank Sanchez in. Or two, there's a massive flaw in what Jake's doing, that he's continually getting hit with this, and the indication that he's getting hit by Okolie means he's going to get hit the same way with Anthony Joshua. I tend to believe a little bit of both, right? You do this so that it doesn't happen, but also how much can Jake really learn and to avoid something that's coming out with the jab or with the lead hook, or just, again, the distance control and the range of a guy like Okolie and a guy.
Videos from the gym show Jake getting caught on the chin by heavyweights, leaving visible marks. Sparring with fighters like Lawrence Okolie brings a level of size, strength, and technique that Jake has not experienced in his previous fights. Observers believe these sessions are exposing limits in his defense and durability when faced with real heavyweight pressure. Analyst Castillo did not sugarcoat his opinion. He said stepping into the ring with Anthony Joshua will be brutal for Jake Paul. According to Castillo, even lasting 3 rounds against Joshua would be an achievement.
250 pounds. He's not a natural heavyweight. And you could say that's an advantage to Jake. He's going to be able to move around a little bit. Again, we'll talk about his feet in a second. But it's more to me the fact that what we're not seeing is the biggest weakness of Jake's, on top of the fact that he's gotten smashed up in sparring. They said Frank Sanchez made his nose look like a crescent moon. We'll get that. Lawrence Okoli is giving him a freaking shiner in sparring. So again, you could say that's great work from Jake to be able to have these high-level guys come in, but you also have to admit that he's getting hit, and he's getting hit a lot by guys that aren't Anthony Joshua in terms of their skill and ability, or at least not at the highest level that AJ has been to. So,
but we brought in world champion heavyweight sparring partners, guys who are 270 pounds, 250 pounds, sparring them, has been insane. I still got the remnants of
taking a little shot there. I like it.
While sparring with heavyweights helps build experience, it cannot fully prepare someone for the sustained power, timing, and pressure of an elite former champion. The gap between influencer boxing and true world-class heavyweight competition remains huge. Simon Jordan and the host discussed Joshua's one-punch knockout power and how it raises the danger level of this fight. They agree this matchup is moving far beyond an exhibition. Joshua's power is proven, not theoretical.
I think, honestly speaking, if Jake can last 3 rounds, in a way he's kind of won a mental victory, because I'll be real, I think everybody's expecting AJ to come there and blast them out in 1 round. But I think a moral victory would be if Jake just lands 1 stun punch on him. That'd be good enough for him. But kudos to Jake Paul for even doing this, because honestly speaking, I'm not going to lie to you, one of the greatest moments that I've witnessed in boxing history, and I know Jake Paul is obviously an influencer, and I'm a boxing fan. I love boxing. So this is a bit weird to say that this is quite a huge moment, but just when he came out last year and he came out of his brother and he came out on a low rider, I got goosebumps, because in that moment I said to myself, how can anybody watch this and not feel like dreams can't come true? Yeah. He must even surprise himself looking at that and think to himself, how on earth am I even here fighting Mike Tyson? And one more thing, even speaking of that, I give him a lot of respect for not knocking out Mike Tyson, because he could have. And so I respect him for that. So against AJ, and for AJ as well, AJ gets a lot of flack, but at the same time, I think AJ's he's about 35, 36, 37 right now. He doesn't really have anything else to prove right now, so why not?
His timing, technique, and history as a heavyweight champion make every exchange dangerous. While sparring helps Jake prepare, there is a big difference between controlled training and facing a fully focused Anthony Joshua on fight night. David Hay added another important perspective. He suggested Jake Paul may believe he can rely on the same strategies that worked in past fights.
And having Anthony Joshua in front of you, I really hope it doesn't go to that end, but it's a very, very dangerous fight.
You actually just said that if the fight goes ahead, do you believe then that this fight won't go ahead? Because there's many people that do.
I mean, I think it goes ahead, but I mean, I don't know what Jake Paul is thinking, to be honest, because you're talking about someone that is 2 times heavyweight champion of the world. Is someone that actually have got a one-punch knockout power. He understands range, he understands positioning, he understands how to set you up. He's a bigger man, he's a stronger man. I don't know where, for me, yes, that I'm thinking the worst, but I want to be positive, and I really hope that both of them goes home safe with plenty of money. But looking statistically and the professionalism of the sport, I don't see the fight going past 2 rounds.
Well, interestingly, when we're recording this show, it's been announced, and it'll come after, our show will come out afterwards, that Jake Paul was doing an announcement this afternoon at, I think, something on at 2 o'clock our time. So who knows what that's likely to be. Interestingly, I spoke to Eddie Hearn when the fight was first announced to try and get the take of what this really was. And his belief, Eddie's belief, and whether you subscribe to Eddie's views on this, is that he genuinely believes that Jake Paul doesn't know what he's walking into, doesn't seem to have a regard for what he's walking into, is slightly deluded about it, thinks that Anthony's a bit chinny.
But Hay warned that beating Joshua would require unrealistic scenarios. Hay sees Jake's heavyweight sparring as brave but revealing. It may improve his toughness and endurance, but it also highlights the huge gap between preparation and reality. once the fight begins. Jake will face challenges that no sparring session can truly replicate.